All right, everyone, pop it in, pop in, pop in. Hello. Just getting set up on Facebook Live. So we've got a couple people hopping in there. Hey, Periscope, how are you guys doing today? 60, 70, 80 people popping in. I'm just going to hop over, do a quick test on our Whole Fit brand page, see how Facebook Live's showing up over there. If we lose the signal on Periscope at all, you guys, you can hop over to Facebook and just type in Whole Fit. I'm streaming this today from the Whole Fit brand page, trying it new over there. In the past, I have streamed this from our private oils group, but I like to switch things up just to see where we can serve people in the best way, because that is a private group, so not everybody can access it there. Hey, Michigan. Hi, Heather from Seattle. Hello, Leslie. Salt Lake, we've got people from all over today. Iowa. Awesome. Hi, Holly, over on Facebook. Awesome. If you guys want to share on Facebook, you can share the broadcast there, or if you're on Periscope, you can swipe left or right. Hey, Colorado, I've got family out there. I go there once a year. Awesome to be with you guys today. It is so gorgeous where I am. Just loving this weather, knowing that spring is on its way. Last week, that was the topic of our broadcast, was how to shift with the seasons, right? So I'm so excited for the sun to be shining, and went for breakfast this morning with a friend, one of the wellness leaders on my team, and had a great start to the day. So excited to be here with you guys. Hey, Facebook, awesome to see you all on there. Trust you're all doing well today. And for those of you that are brand new to this broadcast, I'll just let you know that most weeks I pop on every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern. Often I lead with a topic that is on my heart, and then we go into what most of you are here for Q&A, right? We go into Q&A talking about health, entrepreneurship, being a mom, taking ownership of our life, all the good topics. My name is Ange Peters, and if we haven't met before, I am the founder of Whole Fit, which is my company, my brand that I started about 8 years ago. I'm a presidential diamond leader with doTERRA essential oils. That is what I do, is I connect people to the natural health tools they need to truly step it up in their life. And many of you are here because of that journey connecting us. So I'm grateful to be able to have this time with you, to give back in some way, perhaps guide you if you are running your own wellness business with doTERRA. This is why I do this. And we have great conversations here. My assistant Jill is on right now. Maybe Jill, if you could pop up the playlist link, we can actually pin it to the top of the Facebook broadcast right now, because if you guys want to go back and check out past recordings that we've done weekly, you can find them all in a playlist on YouTube. So save that for your next rainy day. So today I wanted to, and I actually have a whole bunch of questions. I was going to pull some from previous weeks, but save your questions live today. Don't type them in yet, because as usual, I'm gonna get to those in about 10 minutes. What's on my heart today? I spend about 2 days a week on mentor calls, welcoming brand new builders to our team, sometimes checking in with other builders, giving them that opportunity to check in with me and let me know what they're up to, what their goals are. That was my meeting this morning with one of my top leaders on my team. We got together and she was just going over her whole plan with me. I'm there as a guide, right, as her mentor, and as somebody who has been down the road she's going down, and that's what we do as leaders. And it got me thinking, I always like to reflect on common themes that come up during my calls, and just out living life, right? There's so many leadership nuggets that we can see in our life, especially if you're a parent. How many of you, tap the screen if you see massive parallels between your role as a parent and in your business, if you're a business owner or a leader of other people? How often are the things that we're doing with our own kids something that completely can work its way into how we lead a team, right? Learning how to motivate people. Motivating your child to eat healthy at an age when they see a lot of other kids not, or when it maybe doesn't taste as good as the unhealthy version of that food, that takes skill, that takes consistency, that takes determination. So I'm grateful to be a parent and a leader, because both of those roles complement each other, as so many of you can certainly attest to. So the topic that was on my heart, just to open up our scope today, is what I have noticed spending time around very successful people. I have a lot of very successful people in my life. In my business, outside of my business. In fact, the only friends I keep are really highly successful people in their field. All of my close friends are entrepreneurs, and very successful entrepreneurs. And you know, when I look at their life, and when I look at the people on my team who are killing it, and I have a really large team to be able to look at it and really extrapolate what I'm going to share with you from, okay? They inspire me so much. They're so individual in their gifts, as all of you are. If you haven't realized this yet, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are building a business, if you're a business owner, it's likely you've come to the realization that you have unique gifts. But you also know that you're not unique in that everybody does. It's just actually having that belief, you know, to be able to believe in yourself when other people maybe don't, and to then extend that to other people that you work with. So the three things I want to share with you, and you might not agree with these three things, right? But there might be one of these things that you think, okay, that's something that I could look at how I could implement into my life on a more consistent basis. So the very first, and what I feel is the most important thing, if you call yourself a leader of other people, successful people, successful leaders, they speak much more through their action than they do their words. In fact, you'll notice that their words come after the actions have already happened. And so the message lands in a very respected way, because successful people know it's about going first. They know it's about modeling what they speak to. Especially if they are looking to motivate a team. So their words don't precede the actions that are necessary to build success. And within that, taking action and taking ownership of their business, they develop themselves more than anybody on their team. So when you check in on your own development, the time that you might block off in your day or in your week or in your month or your year, you know, how much time are you actually dedicating to develop your mindset, to grow into the shoes of the leader you plan to be? You know, let's say you're building a doTERRA business and your goal is to be a diamond leader in doTERRA. What are you doing daily that the diamond you needs from you, that the diamond you will need to have in their life? You do it now, you practice it daily. And if you are someone with a goal of being successful in whatever you're doing, you are out developing everybody around you. You make time for it. Like that's just a non-negotiable, that you're reading or listening to books daily, that you are planning at least an event every year to attend that's going to surround you with people that are actually a little bit better than you. You never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? You always want to be around people who make you step up your game. So, you know, it's looking at how you're spending your time each day, and then looking over the course of your week and your month and your year and asking, am I developing myself more than the people I need to lead? And if you are, then you're doing the right things. The other thing with that ownership, and I'm still on point one, I have two other juicy points to share with you. So if you're still with me here, what I want to just expand on within this topic is, if you are a leader, you're responsible for creating the type of environment where other people can grow into their leadership as well. This is why I actually love the doTERRA business. And here's the truth I want to share. In my 3 years of building doTERRA, I have never had a leader quit. Now we've had leaders who have never really been leaders, who walked away from their business because maybe they were built to a silver rank because the person above them was going to diamond. Okay, how many of you have had that scenario or situation play out where you've kind of had to, you were growing fast, you were taking ownership, so you ended up creating these leaders on your team that weren't really leaders, but the rank, I should say, right? Here's what I know about what I can speak to within my own team, okay? If somebody was ever to quit their doTERRA business within my team, what they're actually doing is saying, I want to downgrade. Because they know that in our space, the space that we've created and that me along with my leaders protect is a space of growth, is an environment where people on a daily basis are being inspired and led by people who are inspiring and take ownership. It's a place they don't actually want to leave. And I know this, and if somebody ever was to quit on their doTERRA business in my team, good, good, right? Because what I know is they actually weren't aligned in the first place, right? There wasn't that alignment to want to become their best self. So as a leader, that's what I protect within my team, that I check in with myself to grow myself daily so that I can continue to create a space where other people can grow. So, you know, I actually would never fear somebody quitting in the business I'm in because, and years ago I did, right? How many of you have been in management positions before? People quitting, I mean, tenure and retention are two things you're constantly staying, you know, keeping you up at night if you're a business owner and you're in management. Because often in that type of a situation, it's lower vibe. People aren't coming to work every day to become their best self in a management situation. So, you know, if you're building doTERRA, for example, I know it's a lot of you who are on right now, you can be confident that what you have the opportunity to create for people is a space where they can come daily to become their best self. So if someone was to quit, they're actually deciding to downgrade in their life, right? Does that land for anyone? Let's go to tip 2, okay? And then I'll catch some of your comments that are coming in. So my second tip, and this is something I love to talk about, is successful people have very tight bubbles of focus throughout their day. In fact, the most successful leaders are very hard to reach. You will probably never get an instant response, text, or email from a very successful person. And the reason is a successful person has completely taken ownership of their time on a daily and weekly basis, okay? So they're never gonna be the person that you text and say, hey, wanna go for lunch today? They're just not, because they're somebody super intentional about their time. And so, and I actually model this for my team. It probably really irritates them that they don't get instant responses from me. But what I do know is, number one, I want to teach people to be resourceful. And I know that a good handful of the kinds of messages that people send, if they actually practiced being resourceful, they would find their answer. Tony Robbins says that the number one issue facing people today is not having a lack of resources or access to them. It's actually the practice of being a resourceful person. It's so easy to just put our stuff onto somebody else. And so what I have really had to practice modeling, and this began about 1.5 years ago for me, I really had to practice the art of focus and instilling boundaries with my time. And it was really hard in the beginning. With that came the need for me to stop apologizing. And I know this is a huge one for many of you, especially if you're around the gold or platinum rank in doTERRA. Or if you're somebody who's had some pretty good success in whatever business you're in, because I know not all of you here are building a business with doTERRA. If you've had some success, then you're starting to get a lot of eyeballs and people on you, and people requesting your time. And you know, your ability to manage your focus is the most important thing when it comes to continuing the success that you're having. So my challenge within this tip for you is to think about how easy is it to reach you. And I'm not encouraging you to just start ignoring people. If you're not getting back to people, it should be because you are in a tight bubble of focus within your zone of genius. You are so focused on what you need to get done in that day that you don't let other people and their noise and their wants and needs from you control how you are spending your time. This is high level, you guys. And I'm throwing these tips out there because I know some of you have a goal of being part of the 1%. The 1% of people who are truly free with their time and their finances. And you know the 1% of people, mostly from the way they live, but also from the way they give, right? And this leads into my third tip. So the most successful people are super generous with their time. They will give, and what I mean by being generous with their time, like they're super intentional. They're very present. They actively listen when they're in front of you. When you are in the presence of a very successful person, you know it because of how you feel. You have their complete attention. However, there's a caveat to this, okay? The most successful people, yes, they're generous with their time, but they're really quick to shift if they know it's something not worth their time. So like recently, I think it was last week, I was on a call with somebody who was wanting to get started with essential oils. And within 2 minutes of talking to them, all that I heard coming from them was all the reasons they didn't think essential oils would work. And you know what my response to them was? I just said, I can't help you. Was there anything else you were wanting me to help you with today? Because I knew within 2 minutes I was not for them. Not because they don't believe essential oils work. I could convince anybody because there's not a single person that essential oils wouldn't benefit. But it was because I knew that we were on a very different level, a very different alignment or vibration or whatever word you wanted to use. I've had this within my groups. I have had to remove people from my private groups because I could recognize that their intention was to bring negativity and toxicity. And because of what I stand for and because of what the way that I carry my day and my life, there is no time and there is no room to, because I'm not here for those people. There's a lot of people here for those people. And in fact, you know, when we talk about birds of a feather flock together, every once in a while, somebody will come into my space who's in complete misalignment with who I am. And I'm, for some reason, probably there to guide them, or maybe they're there to guide me. I'm open to that. But I also recognize that the clearer I am about who I am, the less likely things that I do become a waste of time. Almost everything I do expands because I'm clear on who I am. I once heard, I was listening to a John Maxwell training. I keep mentioning him because I love his stuff. I love his book that I'm reading right now with my team is the 15 Laws of Growth. And one of the things he shared in there was a woman, I think her name was Sue, starts with an I, Inquist or something like that. She's one of the top 5 UCLA coaches. And she talks about this rule of the 33%. And it's referring to who we give our time to, that people will always fall within one of the 3 categories of people. So there's the bottom third of people. And this bottom 33%, you know them because they literally suck you dry. Every time you talk to them, every time you're in their presence, you feel worse. You feel drained. You're giving to these people all the time. And guess what? These people don't change because their whole reason for living is to see how many people they can bring down to their bottom third. Okay? They are not your people. If you're on this scope, I can assure you they're not your people. Some of you have these people on your team. They somehow found their way into your space. Protect that. If you're in doTERRA, you have the unique advantage of knowing these people will not last. They will actually be so repulsed by the middle and top third within your team, okay? So the middle third, this is where most people are, okay? The middle third, they maintain a positive attitude, okay? But only when things are going well. The middle third, their attitude and their perspective on life is completely influenced by the way the wind is blowing, by the way their day is going, okay? They're completely influenced by it. So when everything's going great, they're building doTERRA, they're sharing the oils, everyone's interested, they teach a class, and everybody wants to get started with oils, and everything's good, and they're going diamond. And then the first time they have a class where no one shows up, what does the middle third of people do? They call you, their upline, and they tell you, I knew it. I knew this business wasn't for real. I knew essential oils don't work, because they tried lavender one night for sleep, and for some reason it didn't work. The middle third is different from the bottom third in that they're not actively looking for reasons to be negative, but the minute something happens, they're really influenced, okay? So then there's the top third, okay? And what do you think of the top third? How do you know you're around someone who's in the top third? And remember, like, everybody falls into one of these three categories. So this is a good check-in opportunity for all of us. What category are we in? The top third base their quality of life on their vision regardless of outcome. Who said that? Cynthia, I missed the name. Debbie said they overcome. Faith always. They don't give up. They stay positive. They're curious. They focus on what they can do and not what they can't. Ooh, you guys are smart. Ooh, I love it. This is why I love these broadcasts. I love this interaction. You guys are so on it. How can we learn from the top third? What do we learn from them? When we talk about how the most successful people are very intentional with their time, and that they attract people that are like them because of how clear they are. If your goal is to be part of the top third, then you're going to do what everyone on Facebook and Periscope is commenting right now. You're going to be somebody that, regardless of what you face in a day, regardless of tough times, regardless of what the bottom third or middle might perceive as an obstacle, you look at everything as an opportunity. You see the world through this flipped lens. I can't even do this anymore. I'm getting old. You look at everything that comes your way as a way to become more skilled, and you're positive, and you solve problems, okay? You solve problems for people. That's what the upper third does. They are so inspiring to us. When we meet the top third, they inspire us to be better, and they make us uncomfortable with our excuses. They make our own excuses look pathetic because they take such ownership of their life, of who they are. And this is leadership. This is leadership, you guys. I talked about this at doTERRA's leadership, that being a high-level leader in doTERRA is not about enrolling the most people in the world with oils. It's about who we are as a person, that people are watching. They are watching because they want to know if you are somebody who's going to add value to their life or add noise. And high-level leaders always add value because of who they are and the ownership they take. That's what we mean by ownership. That's why I talk about it weekly. And these people aren't everywhere, okay? There's a great opportunity for all of you to become that top third. And it's not about perfect, but it's about whatever comes your way, maintaining a positive outlook and being the type of person that people know they can count on. That's what your team is looking from you. If you are somebody who wants to be successful in whatever you're doing, that is so important for your team to know that. Any other dialogue on this topic? What would you guys add to that list? What do you notice if you know people in your life who are really inspiring, or you know a successful business owner? What do you notice about them that we haven't talked about yet? I love thinking about this. And like I said, I love being around people who help me up my game. I don't spend time with people who don't inspire me. I just don't. And anybody can be on the top. Hi, Ash. They choose how they want to feel, and they take epic care of themselves. That's a super important point. When we have boundaries in place with our time, we're able to take our own self-care to the next level. And through that moves inspiration and creativity and vision. I realize self-care is my business. Yeah. Do you know what I make the most money in my business doing? I would be in the top 1% of income earners in the world. What I make the most money in my business doing is thinking. Not not this, not teaching classes, not helping someone get started with oils. My most income producing activity is actually space in my calendar, is thinking, because I know that from there I'm able to move forward good ideas, and I'm able, hi Ava, and I'm able to inspire other people. So think about your own business. You know, what are you actually making the most time or the most money doing? It's not about money, but money is a good measure of our energy and our focus. All right, let's go into some questions. 26 minutes of jamming on this topic, but it's a good one. I'm actually quite obsessed with the idea that success does not play favorites. And one of the girls on my team, when I posted I was going to be talking about this today, she just said quite simply, successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people aren't, and that's very true too. Let me pull up my Evernote, and Jill, if you want to add any questions as we go along, I'll get started. I'll take one live question first. Who's got the first live question? And then we'll go into some of the ones from last week. Checking Periscope, I'm checking Facebook. Facebook, your comments live, so I'll be able to get to more of those throughout the week as you post them. How do I set up a plan with my leaders? From Paula. How do I set up a plan with my leaders? So my approach might be a little different than others, and it has certainly changed over the last 3 years. In the beginning of my business, when I had my first couple of leaders and we were growing fast, you know, I had a call with one of my girls last week, one of my main frontline girls, and she said, you know, we were growing so fast, I wasn't ready for the rank. And it took me a year to grow into my rank, which I thought was beautiful awareness in her business. But in the beginning, I was taking definitely more of a managerial approach with my leaders. And they would probably say that. A few of them are on right now, where it was more me driving the calls. It was more me checking in with them, asking them questions. And I think that is really smart to do for the first little while with leaders, because you want to teach them what success looks like through the kinds of questions you're asking them and through the kind of guidance. So in the beginning with a leader, and I'm talking about maybe the first couple of months, is if this is your like main builder you're partnering with, or your main couple of builders, you'll be building this together, right? So you want to set up time for you guys to be able to stay connected and have those conversations on a regular basis. But what I wish, when I reflect back on, and what I have found with people I onboard today, my approach is much more about teaching them and guiding them in the beginning, but then really letting them own their business in the way that feels aligned for them. And our calls or our check-ins move fairly quickly into them bringing their questions to me, and I'm there to guide. I'm there, and this is the nice thing about the doTERRA business model, is that, you know, your growth, as your team grows, you grow. And to be a successful leader in doTERRA, you're out there, you're doing things first. So when you have these calls, when you're bringing leaders on, you're able to speak to their questions through your own experience, not book knowledge, but through your own experience. So the quicker you can transition as a mentor from manager to a leader, the better. So basically the quicker you can transition to not just giving people the answers, but helping them come to their own awareness and their own truth through asking the right questions, the better, right? That would be the goal. And really, you know, to be a leader, it's really about creating the space and opportunity for other people to become leaders in their own vision, in their own truth. And I'm in this like really sweet place with my business and with my team, because it wasn't until like about 6-7 months ago or so is when I really started to see them all really starting to shine in their own teams and just owning it. Oh, like totally owning it, right? And just like I have 7 main people, women that I work with in my team. And, you know, we don't talk as much as we used to. We're super connected online, and I see all the things they're doing. But it stopped being this thing where I was like checking in on them, whereas now I'm just like, I'm so inspired by what they're doing because they have totally stepped into that ownership. And if any of you are in doTERRA, I can speak to this rank-wise. The reason this really happened for me in this past year is as a presidential diamond, it means that I actually at that point had 7 platinum leaders. And for those of you that are just starting out, or maybe you're diamond leaders in doTERRA, you're navigating this water still with your leaders, because if you're a diamond in doTERRA, for example, your leaders are silver. And silver leaders are young leaders. They haven't quite stepped into their own vision yet, right? You may not have felt that you have either yet. And so probably through you doing that and bringing your team on this journey of you doing that and having the right conversations with your leaders about what their vision is for their business, they will start to step into that same ownership. And now I feel like I'm like the grandma of my business. Like I don't really have a role outside of my own growth because I have such a strong, solid, dedicated, inspiring leadership team. So that came a little quicker for me because I grew fast in doTERRA. But I want you all to know it will come for you. Absolutely. It just, I guess, depends on how much time you're giving to it. Can you ask that question again? I missed that last one. When you first enrolled with doTERRA, was it for health and natural living? So I saw the first part of your question. Absolutely. When I enrolled in doTERRA, it was not to do the business at all. I was so attracted to the essential oils. And I was so attracted to the lifestyle I could create for myself as somebody very passionate about healthy living and as a mom, but also as a health coach working with my clients. That was my initial thought was, this is great. I can put tools into their hands to become healthier people. And that's really all it was at that point. In fact, I knew nothing about the business. I wasn't interested in network marketing, mostly because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how cool it could be if you have the right product. I think the reason so many of us in the past, myself included, why I was really turned off of this industry, it was the messenger, the way that they did it, and the product was just like, no thanks, right? So this business, once I fell in love with the oils, it was a no-brainer. No-brainer. I was like, this is going to explode in about 10 years. Like we haven't even scratched the surface. Did you ever have a time that you were worried about growing the business, a rough patch? To be honest, no, I didn't, because once I used the oils for a couple months, and actually this is why I discourage people when they come to me and say, I want to build the business right away, they haven't even gotten started with oils. I discourage them from even thinking that way. I had a call with a girl last week. She just got her oils in. She said, okay, Ange, so what's my first goal? Elite? I'm like, no. Your first goal is just to use your oils and love them and heal. And then decide, are you wanting to play a role in helping other people do that? And if so, let's talk about that in 3 months. So I actively discourage people from getting started in doTERRA as a business because I want them to feel super good before they ever start that, okay? So what was the question there? Did I ever have rough patches? When I first started, when I decided I wanted to do this as a business, I didn't have a rough patch because I practiced thinking like the top third, okay? I practiced being a leader right out of the gate, somebody who was going to commit to my own development and create the space for others to do that. And that's what I became really focused on. Not, you know, if I taught a class and no one showed up, and I did have those, then I didn't let that stop me because that wasn't my vision wasn't to teach a perfect class. My vision was to give this opportunity of healing to more people and more people and more people, you know? Like, it's that simple. It's not about the person that doesn't show up to the class. Successful people ignore the trolls like a boss. Yes, they do. Periscope is really good practice for not letting distractions get in your way. Am I speaking in Toronto? I think I am. I'm talking with doTERRA later today, but I wanted to, I was kind of waiting because I wanted to, there are some really amazing speakers on my team and a couple of the other teams in Canada that we want to make sure we're speaking. So I'm not sure if there's a spot still, but I'll be there cheering them on. Yay, Megan, mutual. All right. Let me take a question that was in the notes from last week. Oh, Jill, we have a lot of questions in here. Okay. If someone places value with the FDA, how do you approach about doTERRA? If someone places value with the FDA, I guess my first question is, do they understand why the FDA exists? So I'd start there. I probably wouldn't approach people who feel that the FDA exists to make people healthier. Okay, plain and simple. I'm not really interested in attracting people who think that the FDA is here to make them healthier. Bottom line. So I'd encourage you to, whoever asked that, I'd encourage you to think about, you know, are you giving too much time and attention to people that actually don't get it yet? When people have their wake-up call, they will come to you. Bottom line. The FDA is wonderful for what it is here to do. And what it is here to do is to protect people from companies making harmful recommendations with their products or suggestions or untruthful, okay? However, their domain is not natural health. And so what also tends to happen is when people are very passionate about a natural health product and talk about it in a way that positions that natural health product to compete with a pharmaceutical drug, the FDA will step in, okay? So the FDA is very helpful, right? But they're not here to help people become healthier. They're here to protect people from dying by taking a product off the shelf that has unsafe ingredients in it, or they're here to protect people from going too deep into using a natural health product because of the way it was marketed, and therefore they didn't take the plan B, the medical route that they should, right? This happens too. So it's about being responsible with how we share. Some of you recall, you know, essential oil companies like doTERRA and Young Living, a couple of years ago, the FDA came and said, hey, we need you to control your reps. There are reps who are out there saying that frankincense, okay, and the dangerous part of that message would be that somebody might take frankincense for a whole year, and if things aren't going in a healthy direction, they might not ever seek the medical attention that they actually need at that point, okay? So the FDA can be very helpful, but if somebody feels that the be-all, end-all lies with the FDA for their health, they're not somebody interested in becoming an advocate for their own health, okay? Someone asked, have I spoken about my infrared sauna? Wondering what you do before and after you use it. I'm going to do a blog post on infrared saunas. I feel very blessed we were able to put one in our home earlier this year. It's something I've wanted to do for a couple of years. They are extremely good for your body. No, I'm not vegan. And look them up, first of all, if you want to study infrared technology, okay, and this type of support it offers the body. So we have one in our home, and my favorite thing to do is to either get up in the morning before the kids, and I'll go down and I'll do a session in the sauna while I listen to personal development. So I listen to probably 3 hours of personal development a day. Often it starts in the morning. Then I'll listen after the kids have gone to school and I'm kind of like tidying and prepping for my work day. I'll listen again when I'm working out. So I'm always looking for opportunities to develop this while I'm, you know, doing something that doesn't require a lot of thinking. So what I do before and after the sauna, I always dry skin brush. So you can look at my video on WholeFit if you want to learn about dry skin brushing. And I'll do that just before I go in the sauna. I'll also apply, doTERRA has a blend called Zendocrine. It's a detoxifying blend. I apply it over my liver. It's a roller bottle I made up when I was doing the Essential 30 cleanse with my team. So if you did that cleanse, you probably would have one of these roller bottles made if you did the cleanse with your kids, okay? Because we diluted Zendocrine. So I keep that downstairs and I roll it over my liver area. And then depending on what, so this may be a little bit too next level or whatever, but I'll either intuitively choose an oil or I'll use my Itobi scanner to figure out what frequency of oil my body's needing. Sometimes it's cilantro. I'll put that on the bottoms of my feet. Sometimes it's needing respiratory support, so I'll put cardamom and lime or rosemary. I'll dilute on my chest before I go into the sauna. I feel it amplifies very quickly the effects of the oil. And then when I do like 20 to 30 minutes in there, and then that's it. How do I listen in the sauna? I just have a Bluetooth speaker outside the sauna. Here's a question you will not answer. Will you be successful at this even if you don't look good? Is that really a question? I don't think that's really a question. That's a silly question. It has nothing to do with your looks. You're not going to get very far if you feel that it does. Okay, any other questions from the live group? But we'll do about 3 more questions. Let me just browse Facebook. Okay, a lot of comments on Facebook, just kind of scrolling, looking for questions. Great, I'm glad you guys love the opening topic today. Super cool. We've got about 80 people on Facebook right now. Give some ideas of what I listen for personal development. Yeah, okay, so hey Jill, this question came up on Periscope. Jill, if you could post an image of the recommended readings and podcasts that I have for the team, could you post that image on the Facebook page? Just and the person on Periscope, hop over to the Whole Fit Brand page. We'll post a library that I've given to my wellness team to help them develop. But here's what I most want you to know when it comes to developing yourself. Only you know what you're needing to go to the next level. It's different for everybody, right? So I don't want to make suggestions because they actually might not be right for you. So you can take a look at the library, and I've actually created topics. So if you're needing help with believing in yourself, or help in the skills of network marketing, or help with becoming good with your money, you know, we've got books for each of those topics. But there's something I always think about. You know, you are smaller. Hey, Kate, ask that question one more time. I'd like to finish off with that question, perhaps. Ask in a few minutes. So I remember something my grandfather told me. He was a minister, a very well-known minister. And he used to travel the world, and he had a very big church. He used to speak in Times Square Church in New York. And one of the things he told me when I was a little girl, by this time I would have been probably about 16 when he told me this for the first time, that at that point he had read the Bible almost 100 times in his life. The Bible is a really thick book, right? And he said the reason I do that is because every time I read it, it's a brand new book. Now, what I have found is that is true of almost every book, every personal development book. So, you know, I've talked a lot today about this book. So the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. I have this in print. I have it in my Audible. And I have found that when I go back even a couple weeks later to read or listen to a chapter that I had just listened to, it lands completely different, okay? And so what I would encourage you to do is start with one book or one audiobook. And if you love it, how about you read it all year, over and over and over, until you have truly absorbed and marinated in the message of that book. Sometimes we're so quick to hop on to the next thing because that's just how we are. And actually, that's an important thing to know about yourself. If you're so quick to move on to the next book, Are there other areas in your life or your business where you're not fully giving yourself to and developing before moving on to the next thing? So pick one book, and what if that was the only book you read all year and you took 10 minutes a day to read that book? Could you do that? Of course you could do that. But the reason not everybody does it is because it's just so easy to not do it. It's so easy to stop doing it and to always be picking a new book. I mean, I have been in those seasons too where I've got like 10 books on the go and I'm not getting anything from any of them because I'm not letting them sink. So, you know, understand who you are and why you haven't started developing yourself, because you're going to need to, and maybe break it down and figure out how you can keep it even simpler. And just pick one book and do 10 minutes a day. Okay, cool. Tracy on Facebook said, when first starting out and doing classes, my excitement for the product overwhelms me. Any suggestions or advice on how to stay on topic? So much info that I want to share. So Tracy, just know that the journey doesn't end at your class for all these people that come. Your number one goal when you're teaching people about oils, when they come out to an Essential Oils 101 class, your most important thing is that they have a feeling like they could do this, that they could get started in this lifestyle, that it's not overwhelming and it's not scary, and they don't need to have all this fear, that you teach them a couple of your favorite ways to use the oils and how you learned. That I don't know, Tracy, if you're an aromatherapist or if you studied oils for years before you started. That wasn't my situation at all. So what I do is I connect back to the person I was when I first started. And that person was somebody who didn't know a whole lot about oils. I loved the idea of them. I had several brands in my home, but I had no idea the extent to which I could use them. So what I do when I teach is I'm always thinking about the questions and the fears that the class has before they even express them. And I try my best to keep it simple. I am with you in that I get very excited, very, very passionate about what I'm doing, and can sometimes overwhelm people. I certainly overwhelmed people in my first year of teaching classes. I had the fancy PowerPoint and the handouts, and I would bring my oils, but I would bring all of my oils, because what if somebody asked a question about geranium or ylang ylang, and God forbid I don't have it with me, right? Whereas now, I don't teach as many classes, but when I launch a new builder, if they're local to me and I'm going out to teach their first class for them, I only bring my 10 oils that are in the Home Essentials kit. That's the kit almost every person gets started with, top 10 oils with a diffuser. Because here's what I know. My goal is to keep them growing in stages. Because I know there's a lot of people, if we overwhelm them at a class, that oil kit comes and they have forgotten everything you taught them in that class, and they never take the lids off those bottles. So if you can teach in a simple way and know that the journey is just beginning for these people, even the people that don't get started with oils at your classes, you stay in touch. You get their contact info and you check in with them once a month or every couple of weeks. Just say, hey, I was thinking about you. Did you have any questions from the class? Or, hey, I came across this webinar about using oils with horses, and I know you own horses, so I thought I would send it your way. Like, whatever, look for ways to add value and know that you're going to keep them on this journey. I have 25,000 people on my team. Obviously, like, I've enrolled like less than 1% of those people. This has been my whole team growing, right? So what my focus is to do with my leaders is to inspire them with our oil community group. My goal within our private oil education group is to keep people on a journey of learning. They're not ever going to know everything they need to know. So take that pressure off yourself to teach a class where everyone is going to learn everything they need to know about oils before they start. Amy asked, how do you organize your thoughts or ideas as they come to you? I keep a notebook with me at all times. One of my favorite things to do is when I have a moment of silence. Usually this happens in the garage when I pull in and before I come into the house and I'm going to get all this other stuff coming at me. I take a moment in my car and I kind of, dump everything that's in my mind onto paper. I do this at night too. And so I tend to travel with notepads. Another thing I love to do is if I'm like running around the house and I've got my phone with me and I think of an idea, I use Evernote, which is an electronic notebook, and I'll tap the microphone icon and I'll just talk into it and say, launch a new ebook next week on bathing with oils, something like that. You know what I mean? Like I'll just, when ideas come to me, and then what I do is when I have my sheet of ideas or things I've been writing down, these ideas that come to me, I either calendar them to happen or I never do them at all. So I'm always looking at that list and thinking what needs to be taken action on. And if it needs to be taken action on, I put it in my calendar because what gets scheduled is going to get done. And if I decide in that moment that it doesn't excite me anymore, and that happens all the time, I just scrap it. And then so I'm getting it out of here first and foremost onto paper, and then calendaring what I'm going to actually take action on. I'm going to meet a new builder on our team. She's here in London. I have to leave here in 10 minutes. I'm just meeting her at Starbucks. She's got a bunch of questions about her business. And again, her oils have just come in, right? So I'm holding her back from wanting to get started. But I wanted to know what this road might look like. Okay. Kate, if you're still on here, you had one really good question at the end there. If none of your builders are on your front line, is it possible to get your power of 3 later? Yeah, but only if it only involves the people on your front line and their front line, right? So at some point, you're going to have to start someone fresh on your front line if your actual qualifying leaders are further down. Okay, here's Kate's question. When you know, in bold letters, you are a diamond leader, but are so trained at playing smaller. So I think your question is, how do you shift out of that? So your words are interesting to me. You said when you're trained at playing smaller. So I guess first I would unpack that. Who taught you to play small? And who's keeping you playing small? And so when you can really understand that relationship and who that person is, you can get to work. And one of my favorite things to do that has helped me is when I feel like somebody has their prongs in me, or I'm carrying their burden, or I'm living their story and not mine. I think about the word compassion. I try to look at it through a compassionate lens, and I physically picture myself here and them here. And I create a line, and I recognize that I need to practice not taking on their stuff. And usually it's somebody who's very influential in our life that there's like this control in place. And so sometimes you have to physically change your environment and how you're giving your time out. And that, if this is family, which for some people it is, that can be challenging because so you have to spend more time filling your mind and spending time with people who actively play big. Okay, who are going to start influencing you to believe that it's possible for you. So that it takes time. But what I do know is the first time you show up a little bigger in your life, it gets easier to do it the next time. And on the other side of everything that makes us scared to do or scared to say is a new muscle. So I want you to think about, Kate, in your business and in ways you're wanting to show up. Sometimes for people, playing small actually happens because they're trying to do what other people are doing, and it's not their truth. So what is going to be easier to do when it comes to stepping up in our life is to recognize what we're truly here to do, what really lights us up. And don't look around, don't look at what other people are doing, because that's when we start to play that, you know, comparison thing. And that's when we start to identify, well, I'm playing small and they're playing big. So if you can just start to dial up what really excites you to show up in a bold way, you'll build a muscle of doing that. And, you know, I feel that the people who are truly playing big in our world, you know it when you're around them. They have a grounded enthusiasm about what they do. They're unshakable. They're the top third of those three groups, right? They're consistent. They show up for themselves, and that's what puts them into a place of power and integrity. Because other people's fires are lit by people who play big. So, you know, a lot of different ideas within that, but I think it starts with not comparing yourself to others, to unpacking the relationships around you that, like you said, have taught you to play small. Just, you know, almost step outside of those relationships and look at that person that's making you feel that way. Try to look at them through the eyes of compassion and realize, you know, for example, the other day I posted a picture of my kids' lunches. Excuse me one sec. I posted a picture of my kids' lunches. And guess what? That day I posted the picture, they had no veggies in it. They maybe didn't have veggies in their lunches any day that week. And that wasn't the goal of the post. Because you know, don't worry about my kids. They're well taken care of from a health perspective. But what happened, what was interesting was there was a mom who commented saying, "Where are your kids' veggies?" And, you know, the old me years ago, when I was playing small, as you've defined it, would have felt really defensive and would have sunk into a ball and thought, how dare you criticize me as a mom? And I don't stand for that at all. Like, I will actively guard moms, if I can, from other moms who seek to hurt and judge. And I'm not saying this comment or this person that commented was trying to do that at all. It had the energy of that. But, you know, because of my confidence in who I am to my children behind the scenes and what I do, I'm unshakable that way. Nobody could ever make me feel like a bad mom because of that. And so if you think about yourself in any of the roles and in all the women that we are as a collective, as one person, right? All the things we do. If you think about each of those roles, you know, think about which of the roles you play and are. Which are you unshakable in, and which are you not? And why are you, and why are you not? So think about the people that are influencing that. And I think that this really, at the end of the day, is heavily influenced by the person that we are behind the scenes when no one is looking. Because that's the integrity piece. That's the muscle building that happens that gives you the confidence to show up big. To know what you're talking about because you live it, bottom line. So that's why I play big. And I don't even like the name play because it's almost like you're dressing up as something. Owning it. Being your bright light, you know, to your world, to your community, because it's what you live. And this is what people sniff out. People can sniff out a leader who is all talk. We can tell them a mile away, right, guys? Like, I'm sure you can all think of somebody like right off the hop. You can think of somebody who, you know, they talk a really good game, but you're the layers of their life that they live. And unfortunately, you know, it's a loud world today because people can paint that picture. Hey, Keely, they can paint that picture so easily, but we just feel it in our bones, right? Yes, which is why parenting and leadership skills coincide. It's honestly, you guys, it's why moms in my business, and if any of you are building doTERRA, it's why they kill it. Because they're already in that zone. They don't live for themselves. They're the ultimate servant leader. Awesome. Okay, guys, I've got to go. I've got to go meet someone at 1:30. Oh, I love you so hard, Kate. You are brilliant. And I can, I loved your question. And thank you for being authentic and vulnerable and asking the question a lot of people have in their hearts. So, all right, I'm losing my voice. So, peace, love, and oils, everybody. I'll upload the recording to the playlist. Thanks for hanging for this hour. I so appreciate it. I learned from you. I love spending this time with you as well. So I hope that you, I hope you gained something from this time together today. And if you did, please share with your people, and maybe we can help raise the vibe a little bit on a Wednesday. Let me just see if I'm back next week. Thank you for your sweet comments. Okay, next week I will not be on. So the 5th for your calendars, okay? I won't be on because I have 3 other webinars that I'm leading that day. So I will be back with you on April the 12th, mid-April. That'd be great. Okay, see you everyone.